Today on DNVR Buffs Live, the Colorado Buffaloes won the weekend without ever leaving the comfort of their own couches. And it's not just the team, but it goes even deeper than that. Let's dive in. Let's go.
Andiamo! He's back. Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, driven by Front Range Toyota Stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR.
Tell him.
Chill Monday show in the studio because he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Andre Simone, welcome back to the show.
Oh, me. Yes, I'm back. That's right. So nice to be here. What a pleasure. Have we done a three-man yet? Maybe once.
Off season,
Once, yeah.
Incredible. Scott, really, the third we've added. What
Shout
a
out
great
to
hire. Outstanding stuff. I've been loving going to all these tailgates for the Buffs. Really feeling the love from Buff Nation. Wanted to say mad love and a huge thank you to you all. Yeah, so nice to be here, guys.
It's great to have you.
Hyped to
How
have you,
great.
man.
What a week, huh?
What a weekend, man. This is basically a winning post-game show right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
It feels that great. Not to mention, while we were away,
100K, baby.
between the time we finished our last
While
show
you
on
were
Friday
sleeping.
and now,
Yep.
we reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And, you know, we were all together with everyone on the stream, so we had to play nice. But, like, really, it was mostly you guys.
Yeah, shout out Buff Nation. Shout out Buff Nation.
Don't
Buff
tell
Nation.
anyone we said that.
Really advocating for it on social, too.
Oh, Buff Nation came through. They were
Buff Nation.
arguably the most active in the chat at 2 a.m.
Yep.
or whenever we finished.
A lot of familiar faces in there.
So it was very poetic that, you know, I started here covering the Buffs 2015, really when we started the company.
Right.
And we, you know, Buff Nation is the one that really pushed this thing across the finish line for such a memorable milestone.
Yep.
Buff Nation started it. Buff Nation got us to the mountaintop, is what
Yep.
you're saying.
Buff Nation's taking us to a milli.
Yes, they are.
Indeed. Yeah. If you watched any movies, I'd have an analogy for you, but you don't.
I would say it's cool doing the show with you guys, though.
Hell yeah.
After that moment.
Hell yeah.
It's really dope.
Well,
Right.
give me the movie reference. I know movies.
Dunkirk?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
What was it like being a parent this weekend?
Bro,
Good times, huh?
honestly, not that hard.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared for like a couple 20-minute spurts a day that really suck. Other than that, smooth sailing.
If you can handle the sleeping, the babies, they're not. You know, you want a nice, healthy, happy baby, which
course.
is what you're taking care of. No credit to you necessarily.
None.
So that makes life easier. But yeah, if your sleeping isn't disrupted at Sawyer, it sounds like amazing sleeper.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
legendary.
Like
sleeper.
I've had to wake up at like 6:30, 7, which isn't bad at all.
Once you're my age, just to pee, you might have to. Anyways. It might just come up normally.
Yeah, man, Sawyer's been a dream. It's been really easy.
He's a legend, man.
Yeah, there, you know, it definitely throws off things. Like leaving the house takes like 7 times as long. Like little things like that I wasn't prepared for. But in terms of like the actual difficulties of it, is you just got to stay on schedule. Like, you know, Spencer and Kylie gave us a nice sheet of paper with his entire schedule. You stick to that, you're
easy
golden.
peasy.
Every time he starts crying, you're like, all right, this can only be like one of 4 things. Let me see what the schedule is. It's like, oh, it's nap time. What are we doing here?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I love
Sleep, dirty diaper, hungry. Very easy to take care of. Yep.
Best bye week ever? Where do we start?
Best bye week ever. As a Buffs fan, when's the last time you enjoyed a bye week like this?
For real.
Probably never, Ryan.
Yeah, not that I can remember. Taking us back to Friday and just this past week, like the Buffs, you know, we got the Big 12 calculator out. We started doing all that stuff. We're looking at all these games. We're like, okay, we're going to need a little bit of help to get in to the Big 12 title game. And we looked and, you know, I actually wrote a couple weeks ago, I said, I think that Iowa State has a real chance of losing to Texas Tech. And we said, okay, maybe that happens this week. That would help us quite a bit. We're like looking at Kansas State. We're like, okay, well, nothing's going to happen there. So like chalk and BYU's off. So you're thinking like, let's just try to get one checkbox taken care of. When you really need, if you don't count us taking care of our own business, which is obviously number one most important, you really needed like 3 favors in the final 4 games of the season for each team. And you certainly did not go into this weekend expecting to see 2, but that's exactly what happened.
It was crazy. First off, Iowa State in a crazy game against Texas Tech.
Nuts game.
Texas Tech really tried to lose this game, by the way, multiple times.
Oh, bro, I was sick.
It was brutal. But Iowa State made some mistakes too. They end up losing to Texas Tech. Now the Buffs have to take on the Red Raiders this week, and we got all week to get into that. But yeah, your impressions, I guess, of Texas Tech's upset win over Iowa State. They were like 13.5-point underdogs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Ames. I mean,
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, because I remember, what was I saying? I was like, there were 2 teams that were 13.5-point favorites, and I was like, this does not make sense. How is this team the same favorite? What was? Oh, it was Kansas State was 13.5-point favorites over Houston, and Iowa State was 13.5-point favorites over Texas Tech, and I was like, how is that possible? How can they say that Iowa State and Texas Tech are just as far apart as Kansas State and Houston when in the end, like,
couldn't have been more right.
They certainly were right in the fact that those 2 teams were aligned.
Yep.
Just not in the part that they were going to lose by 2 touchdowns apiece. It was just an unbelievable, like, I don't know, series of events that took place, and it's all happening simultaneously.
So fast. Yeah.
So you're like watching both games and trying to see these things unfold. Texas Tech, I felt like, was the better team all night. And, you know, that presents its own challenges for the Buffs this week.
Yep.
Iowa
Sure
State,
does, man.
Nothing about them looked intimidating or scary at any point during that game.
They have some receivers.
Yeah, for sure.
Jaden Higgins did his thing. The secondary coming up with those big interceptions at the end of the second quarter to kind of switch momentum.
That was just bad management.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The Tech quarterback is a nut.
He's insane. Huh?
He is a nut.
Yeah.
Giveth and he taketh.
Yeah, I mean, they had like multiple plays on that final drive that could have been like 60-yard walk-in touchdowns that he missed. I mean, it was just, what a roller coaster ride. That game though felt real. Like that felt very real. Like Texas Tech just went and beat Iowa State, in my opinion. Iowa State didn't play their best for sure, I'm assuming, but Texas Tech just walked in there and beat them.
And the Cyclones still, they're within 1 point. You know, like if you just watch the game, Tech felt like they should have won by a touchdown easily.
Exactly.
Right?
The other one though, that one to me is the real miracle.
Oh, absolutely.
No kidding.
Go ahead.
I mean, Kansas State goes into Houston as what you said, 13.5-point favorites or something. And Houston just kind of punched them in the mouth. I mean, there was mistakes on both sides, but Houston had more big plays, and that's what ended up winning this game for them.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, though, is it's like, it's not, it wasn't necessarily like, I don't know, it didn't look nearly the same in terms of the style of game that happened as Iowa State and Texas Tech. This one was just like, sort of like anytime Houston really needed a big play, they just found it, pulled a rabbit out of a hat. I mean, even as they have the ball on that last drive, I'm just like, well, how in the world are they going to pass it down the field and go score? And next thing you know, QB draw to the house easily. It was just like one of those games where it reminds me of like a March Madness upset where one team is more talented and whatever, but the other team, for whatever reason, every time it's like they get it to 6, boom, they hit a 3. Now it's only 3. Then they get up and they lose the lead, and then all of a sudden they're down by 1, but then they hit a 3. It's like that's what it felt like from Houston. Just one thing after another, kind of breaking the right way. The interception, which is really bad decision by Avery Johnson, but. Yeah. It was just, every time their backs were against the wall, they pulled a rabbit out of the hat.
The come from behind aspect of it is crazy from Houston.
Oh yeah, I mean, like he said, there's 2 minutes left, and it was what, like a 3rd and 1 from near midfield, and it's like, how are they ever going to get close enough to get into the red zone to even attempt to score? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he's just running untouched to the end zone.
Yeah, and then you're thinking like, oh, Kansas State's done. Like they can't pass their way out of this one. They're that. It was just like styles make fights. They got a taste of their own medicine, man.
Mm-hmm. There's some crazy kind of stats though in this game. Like, is it pronounced Zion?
Zion Chris, I think so.
Zion Chris goes 11 for 11, passing the ball in the game. 11 for 11, 103 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah. And then of course on the ground, 22 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown.
Then the receiving numbers are wild for Houston too.
Yes.
They had like 8 different guys catch a pass, and 7 of them only caught 1.
Yes, the only guy who caught more than 1 pass is Muse, who had 4 catches for 6 yards.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they're leading 5 receivers in the game. 1 catch for 44 yards, 1 catch for 33 yards, 1 catch for 8 yards, 1 catch for 8 yards, 1 catch for 6 yards.
Yeah.
It was like watching a high school game up in the mountains, like some good 2A Colorado rural high school football. And it's like 2 country-ass teams, and they just run option offenses against each other. And it was just like, wow.
Yeah, this was not a banner performance from Avery Johnson, who I had felt like was trending up most of the season. Going all the way back to before Scott was officially on the team, we kind of had a back and forth about whether or not Avery was like that. And it felt like every game after that, he got better and better. And I was like, well, this is looking bad on me. And then in this one, totally lays an egg, I thought. 23 of 39, 238 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and only 18 yards on the ground. I'm assuming sacks took a big piece of that, but still.
That's the big one, though. He's a top 10 rusher in the Big 12 Conference, and they held him to 8 of 18. Well, they held the entire team under 90 yards, man. Yeah. That's their bread and butter.
And Houston had 8 TFLs in this game.
How did they do that?
Shout out to Willie Fritz, honestly. Yeah. He's a hell of a coach.
They wanted it. It was like a big opportunity to kind of create the upset at home and some sort of good feeling to end the season on and have something positive to go into going forward. And they pulled it out. I mean, and we said it, I don't know, on the draft pod this week, like November, man. It's when those upsets happen and everything seems so easy when you look at the schedules. And then Houston upsets Kansas State. Like, it's that easy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I had some guy in my mentions last week who I pulled their receipt on this week who was just like, how can you say Colorado's in the Big 12 title race? The 2 teams in front of them don't play anybody. And I was just like, tell me you don't know college football without telling me you don't know college football.
Real.
And that goes the same for everyone just assuming the Buffs win out. You know what I mean? Like, it's never that easy.
Not that easy at all.
And, I'm not trying to, put bad vibes in the air, but like at some point the Buffs' backs are going to be against the wall too.
Yep.
It happens to everyone. Like, they're going to have to come out. They're going to have to swing their way out of a dogfight. And it could be as soon as this weekend. And that's just college. That's what the game is all about. So that's why we love it.
Yeah.
There's nothing easy. It's truly any given Saturday.
Yep. This game could have been worse too. Kansas State put the ball on the ground 3 times. They recovered it each time. They were able to get 4 sacks on Houston, and they had 10 TFLs. So it's just, I mean, the way the ball bounces, opportunities and big plays were just timely for Houston, really, in this game. And
I just still can't believe that happened.
Me too, man. It was a wild game.
Yeah, that one was incredible to turn on and be like, wow, they're going to hold on to this.
Especially right after Iowa State just lost, too. Like, it was like 20 minutes after.
Right.
Jake, you know what winning 2 games from the seat of your couch is?
No.
Buff shit.
Hell yeah. There we go.
That's Buff shit.
Rest of the Big 12.
Let go of hell, baby.
Let them know, man.
The heavens are with us. Let go of hell.
It did feel like a weekend of the stars are kind of aligning a bit, though. Did it not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all
we'll get to the rest of the
happening.
Big 12. Nebraska lost.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a hard time dancing on their grave, just knowing that they have the dub over us this year. But
Right, it would help.
it doesn't mean that
sometimes,
on a bye week I'm not hate watching.
For sure.
And boy, is it fun to watch them melt down.
Yeah. Their fan base.
I mean, they were like, I have some good ones in the old folder from that game because they were saying like, this is your 62-36. Like, we just ended your program. And like, now, all right, fine. If we're talking about them, we're talking about them. So there's a post on some website that someone sent me, like a Nebraska forum. They said,
hiring Coach Prime.
no, that one's
that's a
good
great one too.
But it said that was Nebraska's Super Bowl. Speaking of the CU game,
Yes.
they beat Colorado, and that was the end of the season for this team. Someone responds to them and says, the Colorado fans kept saying that crap, and I laughed at it, thinking this team was far better than CU being their Super Bowl this year. Oh, how I was fucking wrong. And now us fans get regulated to hoping we get to a shitty bowl game. Makes me want to vomit.
And their schedule isn't exactly easy the rest of the way out either.
No, they're going to be dogs in the 3 games remaining on their schedule. They have a bye this week.
Well, yeah, they just lost to 2-5 UCLA at home.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
They had to come from LA to Lincoln, and they still got their asses
The only
kicked.
thing that sucks
Insane.
about this, because I am truly enjoying it, the only thing that sucks about it is it is now a bad loss on our resume. That team is ass.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It is what it is, though.
But we know what
Two
happened.
teams that beat you lost this week.
Yeah, we got hit with an avalanche in that game and found ourselves in a hole we couldn't dig out of.
But this is how football seasons unfold. Teams progress. They get better throughout the years. And it may honestly still be kind of a good thing CU lost that game because it was a wake-up call early in the season.
Yep, I think
they were able to fix a lot from that game.
I think I said on the post-game show, which was a tough post-game show, but I think I said on that, like, the team that was out there today is not the team that will be playing in November.
Yep.
And that's okay. You know, like, teams have time to get better, and teams with strong coaching staffs and strong culture do get better over the season. Mm-hmm. Teams that don't have a plan and, have infighting and have subpar coaching staffs come apart as the season goes on.
Yep. USC also lost to Washington, to a bad Washington team. Lincoln Riley, I mean, does anything happen to him? Do you guys think he's actually on the hot seat?
I think the contract's too rich.
I don't think USC is serious enough of a football program to do anything with Lincoln Riley.
I love it.
I mean,
I think that's an unserious
it's an unserious
Malibu country clubs, beach town, surfs up football program.
Fair enough. I'm not going to disagree with you.
They just can't do better, man.
Well,
Not while also being 70 mil in the hole or whatever his buyout is.
but we also talked about this the entire offseason. Them going to the Big Ten, they aren't going to go into the Big Ten and just automatically win 10 games like they used to do in the Pac-12. Like,
Then they weren't really doing that in the Pac-12 for a while.
that is
too.
true. That is true.
Like it's maybe happened three times in the last 10 years, you know?
But yeah, I mean,
Like
they're
Sark
in-
had a trouble winning at USC.
yeah. Well,
Lane
yeah,
Kiffin
that's
had
stuff going
trouble
on.
winning at USC.
Yeah, Clay Helton had trouble with.
Yeah, right. Coach O, national champion. Go Tiger. Coach O. Actually, as an interim, he was amazing at USC. So never
was,
mind.
yes.
Scratch that. He was incredible.
Yeah, he was.
Bring back Coach O, man.
That's a football guy.
Correct, Ryan.
That's what they lack there.
Is Lincoln Riley not a football guy, are you saying? Dang, you didn't hear it here first.
I bet he knows what the wave report is, though.
Right.
He knows when the tide's rolling in.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, he knows
sure.
what the weather's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
How warm it's
Yeah.
going to be.
Surfs up, yeah. Knows what times to hit the links when it's a little slow.
True,
you know?
yes.
Yeah.
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 Back to the Big 12. UCF just embarrassed Arizona.
The battle of multiple teams broken by Colorado.
Well, it's clear one team
was more broken.
Yes.
But the thing is, they were already a little bit broken when we got there, and then we just You know, and you see a stick that's like kind of broken and you just stomp on it to break it. That's what happened.
Yeah.
They've transitioned from broken to damaged, I would say officially.
Who?
Arizona. They are no longer broken. They are damaged now.
I would say they are in shambles.
They're lost
Right.
at sea. Whatever you want. They are searching for
Right.
anything right
What
now.
they're really searching for is money to figure out how they can fire Brett Brennan.
Yeah.
And they couldn't even afford to hire him in the first place.
I mean, UCF was on like their 5th string quarterback in this game.
Yeah, I didn't see a snap from this game. What happened?
They just beat the hell out of them.
Well, for starters, the said quarterback's name is Dylan Rizk.
And he went 20.
So, like, just saying. There are 4 stringers and there are 4 stringers, and this is the latter, you know.
He went 20 of 25 for 294 and 3 tuds
Yep.
against this team who we thought was going to be really good defensive. They have had some injuries too. They lost a defensive leader on their linebacking core. But we thought Takario Davis was a good player. He was getting roasted, bro.
By who? Kobe
RJ
Hudson?
Harvey went off for 184 yards and 3 tuds.
I mean,
they just ran all over him, man.
Jacoby Jones
Yeah,
for
Jacoby
UCF
Jones,
had
yep.
5 for 106 and 1. Randy Pittman had 5 for 80 and 2 tuds. And then Kobe Hudson only had 4 for 58. RJ Harvey ran 22 times for 184 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, pretty
And
incredible.
Arizona as a team ran the ball 25 times for 5 yards.
Bro, where did they find this Dylan Rizk kid?
It's someplace with a beach in Florida.
Delray Beach. But I
Yeah.
just mean, like, how did they have
I
this
mean-
many quarterbacks? And then is it actually 5th or 4th? 4th, I think. The fourth
I
one
think,
that they
yes.
bring in, he's got 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on the season.
I mean, Gus Malzahn, you know. He knows what he's doing.
Does he?
Does he?
Well, clearly, no one has had that success at Auburn.
Yes, he's the 4th quarterback to throw a pass for them this year.
Incredible.
Yeah. Yep. And then that one doesn't really matter. You could really get into the weeds of this stuff of like who you want to win because CU played both of those teams. I think technically you would have preferred Arizona to win that, but it really doesn't matter.
No,
Let's hit a break, and then on the other side we will.
we don't have a break.
I was
Oh,
going to ask, are we...
no wonder we're just
You
rolling
guys
through.
we're doing this one for funsies, huh?
We're actually starting.
We are for funsies. All right.
This is a 7-pod week.
Yes, it is.
No one ever gives us a shout out for that in Slack.
That's how I like it. It's sad when compliments become compliments to others
Currency?
become a diss to you.
Anyways,
But I'm with you.
yeah, 7 shows
As
this
someone
week.
who
This
never
one,
gets a shout out from corporate, I understand totally. I hate those MS. Totally understand. Chip as big as a mountain on my shoulders. I get it, Ryan.
okay.
Shout out to you guys, by the way, as your friend on the pod, not your GM, sadly.
All right. Well, after that little mini break, we can get to what is left for Colorado.
What is left?
So-
Are we on OTT? Does Alyssa know about the no breaks?
Yeah, Alyssa
We'll
knows
find
all.
out
Alyssa
later.
knows.
If
Alyssa
you're
knows all.
watching on Samsung TV
You're
Live,
not.
tell me.
I don't
Oh,
think
well, there you go. Right. You might not be. Okay, good. I love that.
Anyways, so basically Colorado needs one more favor.
Yep.
There is a path where they don't need any favors
or
really
two?
from Iowa State, but to simplify this so that we don't pull our hair out, because I really was pulling my hair out last week trying to figure out the paths to which Colorado gets
Yeah,
into the Big 12
yeah,
title. It is
yeah.
really as simple as this.
Okay.
Colorado win out,
Yep.
Iowa State lose one more game.
Yep.
Which could simply be Farmageddon.
Yep.
Kansas
Yes.
State v. Iowa State. Where is that game? Manhattan or Ames?
I think it's in Manhattan.
Let's double check on that. But
God, I love talking about cities like Manhattan and Ames. And
It's,
not even
in
mention
Ames.
what state we're in because we're that BD into the Big 12.
It's in Ames.
the game's
Fantastic.
in Ames.
Okay.
So
Scenario 1. Love that scenario.
that is really the only scenario that matters.
Oh,
Because the more you get into the weeds, the crazier things can get. Like essentially, if Iowa State were to win out, Colorado were to win out, there is paths in which Colorado gets the tiebreaker, but it requires like Kansas State needs to fall out of 4th place. So now you need more favors from Kansas State.
Like Texas Tech surpassing Kansas State in the standings, assuming Colorado wins out and thus beats Texas Tech. Could be one path. Yeah.
Yes, but it's harder because you have to beat Texas Tech and knock them down a plug. So you're assuming that an extra loss for them.
Correct.
So really what it comes down to is anyone who is playing Iowa State is your second favorite team that day.
Or double L for BYU.
Yes.
And they have like 5 games left, right? They have a bunch of games. They have more games than most.
This
left
was
on
just their
schedule.
second bye. They had they have 4.
Yeah, they have 4.
But they have a rivalry game this weekend at Utah.
Holy War.
Holy War.
Do we still call it that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, we can't do Red River Shootout, but we can do Holy War?
Right. Like I swear. Won't get into it, but I swear Holy War more relevant to what's happening in the world. Oh boy, I got into it. I said I wouldn't, right? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
First and foremost, again, Buffs have to completely and utterly take care of business.
Yeah. No slip-ups allowed.
No slip-ups allowed.
Also, I'm thinking, can we say playoffs?
We'll get to playoffs.
Okay. Boy, I'm saying a lot that I shouldn't say.
We got time.
But would love to run the table if we can think playoffs.
Iowa State this weekend. They play Kansas.
At Kansas.
Kansas has been, I would say, sneaky.
Depends on the week.
I love that backfield. Jalen Daniels, Devin Neal, all in on those.
Well, and Jalen Daniels has turned it around since, we always say narratives get written in the first month of the season. He was terrible in the first month of the season. And has not been that terrible since. No. So they present a challenge for anyone, including Colorado, who has to play them still. But I think he was at one point 5 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and now he's 11-9. So he's thrown 6-1 since then.
Love that.
Let me just say this: the way that Iowa State looked this last weekend, I'm not giving them any wins against anyone.
No, in this schedule, I mean...
And that doesn't mean that that was their best. I think it was probably on the low end of what they can be. But it was not pretty for them.
This is not a easy schedule by any means. You go to Kansas this weekend, you have to play Cincinnati, which I think we're all impressed by to this point. At Utah, I mean, who knows what that team is right now, but
if
at
Cincinnati's
Utah,
healthy especially, that's a big one,
And then finishing the season against K-State at home.
Yeah, I mean, they could lose 2 more.
Only 3-point favorites in a neutral site game in Arrowhead.
This is
Kansas.
at Arrowhead?
Yeah.
Correct.
Are we sure?
So that,
pretty sure.
yes, I'm certain. That really tells you. The book thinks, I mean, if this was in Lawrence, I think that's maybe an even line.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like, Iowa State...
Devin Neal rules.
Looked a little bit fraudulent this last weekend.
Yeah.
And Kansas State is on the up and up. Or Kansas, sorry. And that's, again, they play multiple teams that Colorado still has to play as well in Kansas and in Utah. Utah has not shown me anything. They're going to have to show me something before I start thinking they can beat anyone. But Kansas has started to show me something.
This weekend's big for Utah, though. I mean, obviously against BYU. And you look at BYU's schedule, this isn't a cakewalk either, man.
Nope. Lay it
at
on us,
Utah,
Jake.
at home against Kansas, which we just talked about Kansas. Then you go on the road to ASU, which, by the way, we haven't talked about ASU yet. Sam Levitt was back, and the Sun Devils were back to rolling. I think they won by 21.
Yep. Congratulations to them for going bowling.
Yep.
Scattaboo over the century mark receiving and running. And when you have...
Did he miss a game or two? Because he's second in the country in rushing yards per game with 175.
Maybe they had
know.
more buys? I don't know. That does seem
they played 8
unique
games,
there.
so...
I don't know. So maybe I just saw a stat from someone who was
Arizona
wrong.
State, though, seems very... I mean, Arizona State's 6-2.
They're a good football team.
They're good, especially with Levitt or Leave It behind center.
Yep. And then they finished the year against Houston, BYU.
And maybe Houston's figured some
Sneaky as
stuff
well.
out, so... Yeah, boy.
That's Houston, a perfect example
Hard to
of
find 2, though.
the importance of coaching, man. Like sometimes you just get out-coached.
Yep.
It happens. And when you have a coach like they have in Willie Fritz, and he's capable of pulling one out at any point. It reminds me of like Sean Payton figuring out a way to beat the Chiefs last year.
Yep.
At Utah, at Arizona State, tough road games. Given the circumstance. Perfect November traps.
I mean, BYU starts helping out, then you can start imagining a world where Colorado gets first.
Yeah, they could win the regular season Big 12 title.
Yes.
What would the implications of being first versus being second be? Are there any
really
advantages in the finals game? No.
Well, it would probably help with college football playoff seeding.
Yeah, that would for
Definitely.
sure. That would for sure. You're right.
Let's get into rankings and seedings and playoffs and stuff.
Sure.
So the AP poll comes out yesterday, and I mean, it was just obvious with the chaos that happened this weekend, especially in the Big 12, that CU was going to move up from 23. They are up to 21, ahead of Kansas State now. CFP rankings come out tomorrow. We'll talk a lot about those tomorrow, but I definitely think that, I mean, it's not definitely think, CU's case for an at-large bid, I think, increased over this weekend dramatically as well.
Yeah, remember we said, like, the guys who the teams who have one loss, you want them to get another loss, and a lot of those little things that you needed to happen happened. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I guess I'll just call my shot now because it's on my mind. I think Colorado comes in at 19 in the CFP rankings.
I was thinking 18 or 19 as well.
Yep.
It's a great range.
Well, Dre, you were telling me today that you think that the committee is going to have more respect for the Big 12.
Yeah, I do. I think right now the AP is underrating Indiana for starters, BYU as well, and Iowa State, and I think Colorado. I think all those schools will get a slight bump. Well, I think Army, Clemson, Washington State will probably be ranked lower. Be very interested to see where they have Notre Dame, which sneaky, if you want to talk at large, is a target to be watching.
Yep. Well, and here's another thing, because this was something that was in my mentions this week too, was this idea that, like, I guess some people were trying to push a narrative that the Big 12 might not even get an auto bid because it's the top 5 highest ranked conference champions. Doesn't matter what conference they come from.
Correct.
The committee is not going to have a 10-2 I guess it would be 11-2 Big 12 champion Colorado in this example ranked below Army.
Or a Washington State team who I don't even think has a conference title game.
Well, they can't even be considered a conference winner, I don't think.
I don't know. There's something, the whole Pac-12 stuff is so weird.
But anyways, Army, Boise State, one of those teams, the Big 12 champion will be ranked above that, and they will get the auto bid.
Boise State's interesting because their one quality win is Wazoo, and Wazoo is sneaky 20th, 7-1, without a ton of quality wins. I think those are both teams that the Buffs could potentially surpass. And then, you start looking at like Iowa State, who you could have a head-to-head on, BYU, who you could have a head-to-head on, if you played them in a Big 12 championship. So it's intriguing, man. It's wide open, and I do like that this week those upsets matter a little less in the olden version. Instead, Iowa State, Kansas State losing, these all have like top 12 ramifications.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So we'll
SMU
see.
killing Pitt,
Oh, yeah. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, I think almost every year the committee has been, not drastically, but they're different than the AP rankings.
For sure.
Yep.
So we'll see.
For what it's worth, because someone is all capsing it in the comments, Cam Scadaboo, doubtful to questionable for this week, but this week's against UCF. It's next week, I believe, that they play BYU.
Yeah, BYU is Utah this weekend.
We want Scat back and healthy for that.
I mean, if Levitt's in, though, and Jordan Tyson's been going crazy, too.
Yeah.
Yep. Jordan Tyson putting up some good stats.
The Heisman.
Another place in which Colorado won this weekend. Genty was just okay. It's kind of crazy to say that about a guy who had 150 yards and a touchdown, but struggled most of the first half. Maybe fair to say a little bit of stat padding in the second half when Boise State was had the lead secured.
Yep.
But in the end, even then, I think he averaged 4.6 yards per carry in the game. 30 plus carries again, or close to it. His case has kind of fallen off. The Barry Sanders pace is creeping further and further away from him. And heck, I'll say it. I don't even think he's having the most impressive season by a running back in the country.
Speak on it.
Caleb Johnson at Iowa in the Big Ten Conference
Killing it.
has 20 less carries, but 230, 40 less yards. He's averaging only half a yard less, and he has one less touchdown. You don't think that if Caleb Johnson was playing in the Mountain West and got to play against Utah State and Hawaii instead of Ohio State and Michigan State, he wouldn't be having be putting up crazier numbers?
You're absolutely right.
And I truly think that regardless of, if they're going to put Caleb Johnson in the Heisman conversation or not, the fact that someone is putting up those types of numbers right on Genty's heels, I feel like hurts the novelty of what was happening earlier in the season when he was putting up 200 plus every game. Now you look back and it's like, oh, well, there's this going on too. And the odds have reflected it. Genty is slowly but surely kind of slipping down in the race. It might, people have been talking about two-man race between Genty and Travis Hunter, of course. To this point, it might soon switch to two-man race between Cam Ward and Travis Hunter.
It has in the odds.
Sure. Yeah.
Cam Ward leads at plus 185. Travis is plus 220. To your point, I mean, if Cam Scadaboo played in the Mountain West, because that guy literally does everything for ASU.
Yes.
Yep.
RJ Harvey's having a great year. Omarion Hampton, we were just talking about him, the North Carolina running back, had over 200 all-purpose yards and 5 touchdowns against Florida State.
Yeah, you're naming all guys who have over 150 all-purpose yards per game on the season. I mean, really impressive. Scadaboo's 175. Genty's 200 total. So, I mean, not that far off.
It's kind of crazy in this age of college football that both the two leading running backs, Genty and Caleb Johnson, don't catch the ball ever.
I know.
Yep.
It's weird.
The big thing for Genty is it's back-to-back Friday games where he kind of has all eyes on him. That's the football game, the Friday night. And he underwhelms a smidge. And he's just not going to have very many games where he's got, it's going to be basically the Mountain West Championship after this. His big games on the schedule are Washington State and Oregon. Those happen so early into the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think the momentum and the opportunities to strike on having a Heisman moment have kind of passed him by a little bit.
Yeah, they have Nevada at San Jose State, at Wyoming, and then Oregon State before the Mountain West title game to end the year.
Which will be UNLV again, I'm assuming?
CSU's in it, too.
CSU's undefeated in the Mountain West, so if they run the table, and they will be favored the rest of the way.
Did you know that?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for them, man. I did see they got bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
I mean, good for them until it's a blowout against boys.
Right.
That's a really tough matchup. The Mountain West is just having a really down year right now, which is hurting Genty for sure, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Genty, or really,
and
anyone
I love
pulling
Genty,
for
I should
Genty,
mention.
you probably want UNLV to make that game. So they have a little more notoriety, so you have a slightly higher chance of it being a close game. You break a big one in the third quarter, and you do have a moment.
1,000%.
But wait, I think we already determined that the voting is done by the time that conference championships roll around.
I think you're right. I think it's I'll find it right now.
I think they can still vote, but it's most have submitted their votes in by then. Which is what are we doing?
I think it's done. I think the ballots are due before that game. I think that's what we determined.
I'm looking it up right now. Heisman voting deadline is Monday, December 4th.
I think that's the week after the conference championships.
I think you're right.
Yeah, no, because I've been outraged about this before. So, as you're saying that, I'm thinking have I been pretend outraged this whole time?
I mean, he's probably going to go crazy on Nevada, but he's also rightfully wearing down. You give the man the ball 35 times a game, he's going to get worn out.
1,000%.
I mean, back to Travis. So, showing up in Happy Valley on the bye week
Great.
to hop on Big Noon Kickoff and College Game Day.
Yes, first
Unprecedented.
player in history to go on College Game Day on set on their bye week.
Crazy.
And he did great, man.
Really legendary.
He's, this isn't his favorite thing in the world, as we know, is to do media.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, he has such an infectious personality that people just gravitate towards. And I thought he did a really good job of giving people just a little sample of what he's really like.
That shot of him, Charles Woodson, and Mark Ingram doing the Heisman pose.
No, it was Leinart.
Oh, it was Leinart. You're right.
Yeah.
Either way, you're going to see that picture quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, that was epic. But even then, like, shout out to the Penn State fans. Like, great reception for Trav.
They loved him.
Yeah.
Someone, I can't remember who had it, but someone had a tweet. It was like, it's like they're seeing an NFL player at College Game Day.
They are. They're seeing the number 1 overall pick, probably.
Pretty much.
But yeah, he's taking selfies, signing autographs. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, really cool.
So, you never know. We've always talked about how Travis Hunter's arguably the most unhateable player in the country, but just with the ties to CU, you never know if they just wanted to hate. They could have been haters, but no, they were starstruck by Trav.
Dylan Gabriel had a nice weekend against Michigan. He's third in the Heisman race at plus 280. Ashton Genty down to fourth at plus 500. That's pretty much it. But Travis, also with the flag at College Game Day, kind of revealed CU pushing to get Shedeur in the Heisman conversation with the Heisman flag. That was tight.
Yeah, that was sick. Shout out Lexi for the hashtag
For
idea.
real, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Heisman. I mean, whoever gets to do that.
I know.
What an awesome time to be alive. Colorado is doing a double Heisman campaign.
Yep.
Pretty incredible.
You got anything else?
No, I mean, on the Heisman, it would be I would be remiss if we didn't just mention that Shedeur deserves to be in this conversation.
He definitely does, man.
As we have, I don't know, as much as we could for the last couple weeks. It's kind of crazy to me that he's not getting more of it. Maybe it is because the attention, the narrative. I always say narrative's written early. The narrative was kind of written about Travis early in the season, and so that's been pushed, and as it should be. But I'm sure he's going to bring this up on the show this at some point too. So sorry for taking this, but Scott tweeted out today.
I was just about to bring it up.
Texas Tech gives up the most pass yards per game in the Big 12 by like over 40 yards per game.
Yep. Only team over 300.
I think that's what could help Shedeur. Couple games going over like 400, just putting up gaudy numbers could go a really long way for him.
Well, and everyone's going to be watching this week.
Oh, yeah.
On Fox, 3 o'clock game, or, depending on where you are, 2 o'clock here.
Good opponent.
Country will be tuned in because everyone now knows kind of the whole idea of CU has a chance to make it if they win out. Like, the stakes have gone up. Shedeur goes out there and puts up a video game number.
Yeah.
He'll start getting the respect that he deserves.
Yeah, it's got to kind of match like a Cam Ward performance from this week. 400 yards, 5 tuds. That'd go a long way for sure.
Only other thing I wanted to bring up was how awesome Ben was on Friday. Dude, absolutely crushed it, man.
Yep.
He was great, man.
So good.
And then, just hung out here for a while after. We filmed the 21 questions, hung out for a little while after that.
Yep.
What a good kid.
For real, man. I mean, you talk about going places. We say that about a lot of these kids that come in from this program and sit down with us, but man.
Well, and, he mentioned wanting to do this.
Natural.
He's tailor-made.
Yep.
And I can't remember if it was on the show or off the show, but when he mentioned Pat McAfee. But it's like, I mean, he has that same sort of just like exuding energy at all moments, like, has kind of funny phrases and just ways that he says things. Like, he could absolutely go down that path.
But then he was also just super real and like, I don't know, transparent with everything that's gone on over the last 3 years for him. So he just absolutely crushed it. 11 out of 10.
Yep. And we knew he would.
Yep. That's why we wanted him.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we get to questions?
I don't think so.
Yes, TZ. Speaking of 21 questions, there is an FDP episode coming out soon.
There is. We're stacking them.
Yep.
Love that. It's great news.
All right. To the Toyota chat we go. Oh, yeah. Shoot. Today, it is your last chance to become a DNVR diehard with the current deal right now. What's the deal right now, Dre?
Amazing. Just $4 a month, billed annually. I mean, it's incredible. All the content you're writing, Scott's writing, all right there. Great discounts on our events, great discounts on the bar. Free merch, free t-shirt, discounts on merch. I mean, you name it. If you're a Denver diehard sports fan, and you don't have a diehard membership for DNVR, you don't know what you're doing.
Discord access as well?
Yep. And I mean, Scott and Jake have been pumping out the great written content
Cranking.
recently.
Scott's been crushing it. I think I had a pretty good one yesterday, too. So
Hell yeah.
Go
Who's
check
the
it
guy
out.
you spoke with?
His name is EJ Sanchez. He works for Texan Live, this like big site out there. He calls all of Adrian Wilson's games.
Oh.
And he's been watching him his entire career. So he knows all about Adrian Wilson, gave me some great intel on him, on Quinnell X Farrakhan Jr., and then the other guy, Quentin Gibson, who came and visited last weekend. So,
Really want Quentin Gibson.
yeah, burner.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. To Toyota chat, Jared says, Dre, give us your hottest Serie A comparison for the Buffs.
Don't mess this up. This will, 1% of our listeners will understand this reference?
Okay, here you go. It's Napoli. One of the most iconic. I mean, the GOAT played for Napoli, Maradona. They had a great stretch, 2 championships in the late 80s, early 90s. And now they're back on the up and up. Like, they're back, baby.
Perfect.
So it's Napoli. It's Napoli all the way. Yep.
Perfect comp. Black and white, if I'm not mistaken?
No,
colors?
that's Juve. They're
okay.
They're baby blue, so OG Buffs
No,
colors.
don't bring that up. Don't put
He
that.
doesn't want
Don't put
that.
that evil
Right,
on us.
Coach Max said real Buffs fans don't wear baby blue.
That was, I think, Dan Hawkins who said that.
Fuck Dan Hawkins. I removed him from my memory. Shout out to him though.
Moo Better says, Dayon Hayes, I hope he's back. So he posted a picture on social media, I don't know, Friday or something.
Yeah.
He was in the hospital in a bed. I mean, he had surgery. I don't know what the injury is. I don't know what his plan is, but I don't know, he's in good spirits.
And
We'll
he
see.
would be eligible to get a medical red shirt if that was something he's interested in. But he is a grad transfer.
He is. He has only played 4 games, though, so he is eligible
Yep.
for any red shirt, I guess. He's just got to apply for it. With
Yep.
him being a grad, yeah, it adds in all this stuff. So
What a
Might be the way to go, man.
Underrated loss. Just in the sense of like, I always say like no one really gives you breaks for injuries as a team, but like Dayon Hayes was starting,
yeah, he was a beast.
and then he was just not there for UCF, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
And then everyone else just started balling out, and no one's really
Right.
talked about it since.
Yeah.
Yep.
So credit to all of the guys in that room. You want to talk about depth? Because everyone told us, Colorado,
doubt.
you can't have depth. There's no way. There's no way they have depth. They did it through the transfer portal. Well, somehow a starter went out, and no one's even talked about it.
Yep.
And I'm not saying not including us, but like when you turn on a game broadcast, they're not like Colorado's missing their starting edge, Dayon Hayes. Like
Yep.
they're just like, look at this guy, he's balling out too, Sammy Sachs or whoever it may be.
And that's been a strength of the squad since
Exactly.
he's been out. Like the pass rush, the edge
Yeah.
depth has been a strength.
We talked about it all offseason.
They lead the conference in sacks still.
They do,
even after
yeah.
the bye week.
Crazy.
But we talked about it all offseason, how they have veteran edge rushers, returning edge rushers, and young edge rushers coming in. Like, people did not understand the depth that Colorado had at the edge position this season.
Amen.
What's up, Eric? If we and Iowa State went out, since we don't play each other, the tiebreaker could get real spicy. Which tiebreaker do you think Colorado would get in over Iowa State? I have no idea, man. The tiebreakers are ridiculous. I just use the calculator and I learn
It's
what
crazy.
It says.
I mean, I've been messing with it a little bit. You would need Texas Tech. This would be the easiest way. You would need Texas Tech to get sole possession of 4th place.
Yeah.
Because if it's tied, I didn't realize this. If it's tied, then they don't tie break that and then tie break it again, if you understand what I'm saying, which you shouldn't, because that's confusing as hell. But then it's your record against the teams tied for 4th place, which then it would both be 1-1 again, because it would be Texas Tech and Kansas State. So, like, you're right. It gets really spicy. You just, take care of your business, and I think Iowa State is going to falter again.
Yeah, it's nice that you just need one Iowa State loss at this point.
Yep.
Pete with the chat. What's up, fellas? Do you guys have any info on the tailgate for the Utah game? I don't think yet.
A lot of people have been asking about it. We will have one. I know I saw Green Creole tweet at us about it too. So there will be a tailgate for that game and all remaining home games.
By the way, 10 a.m. kickoff for that game. Your thoughts?
Yes.
Alyssa says yes.
I'm here for it.
Look,
Y'all tailgating early is my thoughts.
I think this counts as a winning Monday, so no complaints. But it is kind of weird to have a whole home game schedule without one afternoon game the whole season.
Yeah.
You got 4 night games and 2 10 a.m.s. I feel like it should be like a rule. You have to get at least one in like the 12 to 2:30 window.
Yeah. The Big 12 was not kind to Colorado with their home schedule this year at all.
If you mostly play night games, you can't be playing 10 a.m. games. That's messed up.
Yeah,
man.
it's crazy.
Like, they don't do that in the NBA. When the Nuggets are most of the season playing between 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., they don't then have a random 10 a.m. game. The earliest they'll play is that one, like, Sunday matinee on the East Coast, and it'll be at noon.
Yeah, so you have this week at 3 o'clock Texas time. The week after that is
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Utah.
We don't know Kansas.
We don't know Kansas, but I'm guessing that one will be in the afternoon. And then
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Oklahoma. So at least you're kind of transitioning back into the earlier games now. But it is unfortunate because that Cincinnati was the best game they've ever played late at night.
But the best home game they've played in the Coach Primera was the 10 a.m. game against Nebraska because this team just works in the morning. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
Every day.
So maybe morning is better for them.
It does feel like that would be more natural. But they also kind of like just figured it out.
I know.
How to come out strong in a late night game. So hopefully this team is just battle tested, man.
Right.
And they, it's the most football thing ever to say, like, any team, any place, anywhere, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're about it, then who cares?
Right.
Bring them out.
Kevin asks, when do you get the 100K plaque from YouTube?
I was so thinking about this recently, and like, do we need to double check to make sure they have the right address for us?
I don't believe we've received any communication regarding it.
Yeah.
No, like, congratulatory email. Have you seen anything, Alyssa?
I haven't. I mean, we got that one-on-one YouTube help, but nothing about the plaque.
You know, that might be a great channel to reach out and be like, hey, while you're here, plaque, question mark?
But be like
Stay put, though.
Be like Stewie in that episode of Family Guy when Brian owes him money, and he's just beating his kneecaps in with the crowbar.
You don't get that reference?
No, I don't.
Jeez,
I'm
no
sorry.
Dunkirk, no Family Guy at this pod, man. ball only. That's all
it.
they know over
That's
here.
it.
Just ball.
I have a lot of references from like my high school days because, like, if you didn't watch South Park and you showed up to school the next day, like, you wouldn't understand any of the references. So like you had to watch that. And then kind of Family Guy had a moment in my high school where like you needed to make sure you were up on that if you wanted to know the references going around school.
I love that for us. K-Dub. You remember K-Dub, my friend?
Yes.
Great man. Shout out K-Dub.
Bro, what was the game we used to play? Oh, which side are you on?
What side are you on? Yeah, that was the game K-Dub and I would pick.
Kid up with the super chat. We got to block out the outside noise. All the rat poison needs to be filtered out, and we need to lock in. Time is now.
Yeah, big challenge for the coaching staff this week. Make sure, and it sounds so cliche, but it happens to everyone. You got to make sure that this team realizes they can't win 4 games this weekend. You know what I mean? It's like in a basketball game when you're down by 15. It's like there's no 15-point shot.
Yep.
You want to be able to just say, like, okay, we win this week and then we can win that. And you just can't do that.
Yep.
And it's very natural. I mean, we're all doing it.
Yeah.
So the coaching staff has to really make sure these guys aren't thinking about making the Big 12 championship game. They've got to just win.
This team's been locked in, I think, since the offseason, though, man. I'm
Definitely.
not worried about it.
This game in Lubbock, toughest test yet. So it's true. You just got to be focused on 1 week at a time. Or toughest test remaining. I don't know about toughest test yet.
Toughest test remaining for sure.
Erica says, any comments on if the Raiders are tanking for 2? I don't want to talk about this.
Did you see that a Raiders fan.
Yes. Yeah, the thank you God tweets from Shedeur.
A Raiders fan uncovered that after every time the Raiders lose, Shedeur tweets "Thank you God," which I feel the same way after the Raiders lose for different reasons, I guess.
Shedeur's just tweeting that after every game, bro.
But I don't know. I'd have to do some research. It would be funny. It would be even if it's not real. It's a funny tweet.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of teams in the mix. Saints,
Giants,
Titans, Giants. Yeah. Don't. Antonio Pierce will screw this up for them, I believe.
Let's hope. Shaquille Oatmeal says, thoughts on receiving a 30% smaller YouTube plaque SMH. I don't understand that reference.
I don't either.
Thank you for the super chat.
Maybe
there, Shaquille Oatmeal.
maybe too many channels are getting it now, so YouTube's making the plaque smaller.
Boo.
Dang, that would stink.
I don't care.
Yeah. Honestly, Shaquille Oatmeal, whatever plaque they send us.
You know how there's that DNVR shirt that hangs right in the middle, right behind the K. Motion to replace that with the YouTube plaque.
Totally.
All right.
We'll clear it with the people who give clearance on these things.
Cool.
Shaquille Oatmeal again. Is it true that if Boise wins out and is the G5 rep and CU winds up Big 12 champs, that Boise State gets the bye because they are a higher conference champ? Yes, it is the top 4 highest ranked conference title winners who get the bye.
But that assumes that Boise would still remain the higher ranked team after the conference championships and everything.
Yeah.
Right, which I think if CU goes on a 4-0 run here to end the season and wins a Big 12 title game, I don't care what Boise State does. I think you'd be ranked over them.
Yeah, 7-game winning streak with wins over,
with the real Heisman.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like, you're getting this Texas Tech win, and then BYU or whoever it may be in the Big 12 championship. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but we don't have to play the games. That team would be boosted up.
Who would be the second best win on Boise State's schedule is how you start that argument.
Yeah.
Might be like it might be Hawaii, man. Like,
That's
it's
why
really low on the list.
It's funny because in the game I was rooting for Boise State to beat Oregon. But if they had that one, which they almost had, this whole thing would be different right now. They'd be undefeated.
Oregon wouldn't be number 1.
Genty would have his Heisman moment.
Yep.
Because, he went for damn near 300 yards in that game.
Yeah, you're right.
Lance says, I want to go to the bowl game or Big 12 championship game if it happens. How soon should I buy tickets to the games? You won't know for the bowl game for at least a month.
Yep.
Title game, I'd check it out now.
You can buy tickets, to the Big 12 championship whenever you want.
Last one from LT. Lubbock this weekend will be awesome. Hope to see y'all there. Utah has a big noon game. Any preview for Gus's nicknames?
I.e. Maserati Marv.
Maserati Marv.
I got nothing.
Do you have anything, Dre?
No, but I'm sure they'll be amazing.
Heisman Hunter.
Maserati Marv
There you
is
go.
so good. That's really good. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Joel will be on it?
Joel teased that. I don't
Yes,
think
he
it's
did.
official.
He tweeted our tweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
He quote tweeted the 10 a.m. announcement with an eyeball emoji.
Sick.
He'll
Okay,
be
cool.
back.
Cool.
And then I believe this week we're getting the lucky booth, which is the Brock Heward booth.
Oh.
Every time Brock Heward calls a Buffs game in the primary, the Buffs win.
There you go.
Last minute from Dom Peasy says, congrats on 100 KD. Y'all. So glad I found this channel in 22. This podcast is goated. Appreciate all the support, Dom Peasy.
Thank you so
man.
much.
Yeah, Friday was really cool. It was fun.
Amazing show.
Yeah, we were lit.
Yes, we were. One more from PPMG TV. Is it time to get Coach Prime extension done? I am sure they are conversations being had.
Yeah, man, I've said it from the jump. When's the best time? Yesterday.
Yep. Soon.
True that.
But you never know. Everyone goes about these things differently. It very well may be a situation where Coach Prime is just like, yeah, like we'll figure it out. Just not during the season.
Yep. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have press conferences tomorrow. Game week, road week. Stampede back on.
Yes. We leave Thursday morning, so we'll be live with you guys Thursday from the road. Thankfully, we have a very spacious RV because we got Scott coming with us this time. We're adding to the crew.
That's right.
I'm hoping to do a little more, like maybe a little more NCAA 25 on this one.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Love that.
We've got some cool stuff planned because this is one of our shorter trips.
Yep.
So we'll be in Lubbock all day on Friday rather than like just getting into town on Friday. So that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Get to check out, some of the food spots and stuff that gets recommended from Jacob Polite and others like him. So should be great.
Gonna be fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Dre. Appreciate
Thank you
brother.
guys. Yeah.
Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.